How many write-ups have you had for jail behavior problems? I'm going to give you a hint. I'm looking at over 30 pages. I've never seen such a thing by anyone before me with that many jail pages of jail problems.
This man's record is staggering: 55 write-ups behind bars, spread across 17 pages. That's not chance. That's a pattern, and now, he's standing before Judge Stevens, asking for probation. Yes, probation can be granted, even in serious cases. But with a history like this, it's hard to believe he's suddenly turned things around. When your rap sheet is thicker than a phone book, rehabilitated isn't exactly the first word that comes to mind. So here's the big question: should someone who treated jail like his own playground even have the chance to ask for probation? Let's find out.
The agreement is whatever sentence shall not exceed a cap of 30 years imprisonment. So we are looking at no less than 5 up to 30 years in prison. Regular probation is not an option. And the other thing would be deferred, I guess, or unadjudicated probation. Is that even an option? That's not even an option. It's all straight, flat time. And how old were you at the date of this event? You're now 20, right? 20 years of age now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. State, do you wish to go first? You can go first and last.
Judge, this case originally had 2 people charged. There was an Isaiah Brewer and Mr. McQueen were charged. This was supposed to be just a group of people meeting for a fist fight, and as usual, when a fist fight is about to start, somebody pulls out guns. In this case, the question was always been whether or not there was a self-defense, because the defendant has claimed and still claims today in his pre-sentence report that the victim pulled a gun and pointed it at him and his family, and so he was just defending his family. But the reason that I think he pled is because when we came up for trial, the co-defendant had agreed to testify and was going to testify to the fact that in the statement he gave the police was that the victim, while the victim did have a gun, the victim never pointed it at the defendant or any of the family members. And there was also another sister of the defendant, I believe, or a witness that was with the group of the defendant, who also would testify that a gun was never pointed at the defendant or any of the family members. That the minute the argument started, the co-defendant said that the victim had pulled out a gun to point it up in the air to make everybody get away, and that's when Mr. Algero McQueen started shooting and shot about, I forget how many bullets there were fired, but pretty much unloaded his gun, shooting the victim. The victim, when he was falling down, then returned fire to shoot back at them, hitting a car, and then did not wound anyone that I know of. This was, once again, one of those shootouts that we have in Beaumont where, unfortunately, someone got killed, and it's all these youngsters running around with guns, and this one, I don't understand why they had to go meet up at the victims across from the victim's sister's house. The victim's sister claims that they were chasing her brother and were going to gun him down, and that he never stood a chance, that she heard the shots, she came outside, and they were driving away and still shooting out the back of the car. So all this adds up to, we do know that Mr. McQueen, when the police arrested him, he did admit that he's the one that shot and killed the victim. I've given him credit for that admission, for at least owning up to it, and also because there was some other activity out there that was fighting, and I capped it at 30. I think that looking at his history, not only his prior juvenile history, but looking at his history since he's been in jail, you've got a copy, I think, of all the jail incidents, and he hasn't really shown that even if he was wanting to straighten out his life or try to convince the court that he was very remorseful for what he did, his incidents in jail show that he just has no respect for anything or anyone, and so we would ask for the 30 years.
All right, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Your Honor. number of things that are important in this PSI. None, and Mr. Riley, who I think is in the courtroom today, judges who composed this for us for the court. But one of the things that stands out maybe a little bit more than the others is at the beginning of Mr. McQueen's social and personal history, which of course is on page 4. And it's the second line. I know the court has seen this already, that Al's dad was Al Drew McQueen Sr., and that he left this earth in 2017. My math is right. Al was 12 at the time when he lost his dad. And I've thought about that through the course of this case, and certainly since we got this.
What year was that?
2017.
Okay.
And more
What was the date? March 7th, you said? What was the date he lost his dad?
2017. The month is not
No, okay.
included. And I've thought about it more since we got this report. Maybe not fair to put myself in his shoes, but as a human being, you can't help that. And to think that when I was 12, my dad was my hero. And to wonder